Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 17, Victory of Hiranyaksa, over all the directions of the universe. Text 1. Maitreya uvacha nishamyatma bhuva gitam karanam shankayojjitaha tataha sarve nyavartanta tridivaya divaukasaha. Sri Maitreya said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the higher planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus they all returned to their respective planets. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The demigods, who are denizens of higher planets, are also very much afraid of incidents such as the universes becoming dark, and so they consulted Brahma. This indicates that the quality of fear exists for every living entity in the material world. The four principal activities of material existence are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. The fear element exists also in the demigods. On every planet, even in the higher planetary systems, including the moon and the sun, as well as on this earth, the same principles of animal life exist. Otherwise, why are the demigods also afraid of the darkness? The difference between the demigods and ordinary human beings is that the demigods approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. If people would only approach the authority, then every adverse condition in this universe could be rectified. Arjun was also disturbed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he approached the authority Krishna, and his problem was solved. The conclusive instruction of this incident is that we may be disturbed by some material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem is solved. The demigods approached Brahma for the meaning of the disturbance, and after hearing from him, they were satisfied and returned home peacefully. Text 2. दितिस्तु भर्तुरादेशाद् अपत्या परिशङ्किनी पूर्णे वर्षशते साध्वी पुत्रौ प्रसूशुवे यमौ. The virtuous lady Diti had been very apprehensive of trouble to the gods from the children in her womb, and her husband predicted the same. She brought forth twin sons after a full 100 years of pregnancy. Text 3. Utpata bahavastattra nipetujayamanayoho divi bhuvyantarikshescha lokasyoru bhayavahaha. On the birth of the two demons, there were many natural disturbances, all very fearful and wonderful in the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them. I'll read it again. On the birth of the two demons, there were many natural disturbances, all very fearful and wonderful in the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them. Text 4. Sahachala bhuvaschelur dishah sarvaha prajajvaluhu solkaschashanayah petuhu ketavascharti hetavaha. There were earthquakes along the mountains on the earth, and it appeared that there were fire everywhere. Many inauspicious planets like Saturn appeared, along with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts. So there were earthquakes along the mountains, and it appeared that there was fire everywhere. Many inauspicious planets like Saturn appeared, along with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts. Purport. When natural disturbances occur on a planet, one should understand that a demon must have taken birth there. In the present age, the number of demoniac people is increasing, therefore natural disturbances are also increasing. There is no doubt about this, as we can understand from the statements of the Bhagavatam. Text 5. Vavau vayuhu suduh sparshaha phutkaran irayan muhuhu Unmulayan nagapatin Vatyani rajodhvajaha. There blew winds which were most uninviting to the touch, hissing again and again and uprooting gigantic trees. They had storms for their armies and clouds of dust for their ensigns. What happened? There blew winds which were most uninviting to the touch, hissing again and again and uprooting gigantic trees. They had storms for their armies and clouds of dust for their ensigns. Purport. When there are natural disturbances like blowing cyclones, too much heat or snowfall, and uprooting of trees by hurricanes, it is to be understood that the demoniac population is increasing, and so the natural disturbance is also taking place. Natural disturbances like blowing cyclones, too much heat or snowfall, and uprooting of trees by hurricanes. So this means demoniac population is increasing. There are many countries on the globe, even at the present moment, where all these disturbances are current. This is true all over the world. There is insufficient sunshine and there are always clouds in the sky, snowfall, and severe cold. These assure that such places are inhabited by demoniac people who are accustomed to all kinds of forbidden sinful activity. Text 6. उद्धसत्तडिद् अम्भोदा घटया नष्टभागणे व्योम्नि प्रविष्टतमसा न स्म व्यादृश्यते padam. The luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds in which lightning sometimes flashed as though laughing. Darkness reigned everywhere and nothing could be seen. The luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds in which lightning sometimes flashed as though laughing. Darkness reigned everywhere and nothing could be seen. So when it is cloudy in the sky, that is also a symptom that demoniac population is increasing. Text 7. Chukrosha Vimanavardhir Udurmihi Kshubhitodaraha Sodapanascha Saritash Chukshubhuhu Shushka Pankajaha. The ocean with its high waves wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow. The ocean with its high waves wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow. Wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow. And there was a commotion among the creatures inhabiting the ocean. The rivers and lakes were also agitated, and lotuses withered. Text 8. Muhu paridhayo bhuvan sarahvo shashi suryayoho nirghata ratha nihrada vivarebhya prajagnire. Misty halos appeared around the sun and moon during solar and lunar eclipses again and again. Claps of thunder were heard even without clouds, and sounds like those of rattling chariots emerged from the mountain caves. Text 9. Antargrameshu mukhato vamantyo vahnimulbanam srigalo luka tankarai pranedur ashivam shivaha. In the interior of the villages, she-jackals yelled portentously, vomiting strong fire from their mouths, and jackals and owls also joined them with their cries. So when we hear she-jackals yelling, that is an inauspicious omen. That means that is also indicating the demoniac population is increasing. Jackals and owls also joined them with their cries. So the she-jackals are yelling and vomiting fire, and joining the she-jackals were the other jackals, the male jackals, plus the owls, all crying. Sangeetavad rodanavad unna unnamaya shirodharam vyamunchan vividha vacho gramasimhastatastatah. Raising their necks, dogs cried here and there, now in the manner of singing and now of wailing. So dogs were also crying, but their cries sometimes sounded like singing and sometimes like wailing. Kharascha karkashai kshattaha kurairgnanto dharatalam khar kharkara rabhasa mattaha paryadhavan varuthashaha. O Vidura, the asses ran hither and thither in herds, striking the earth with their hard hooves and wildly braying. Purport. Asses also feel very respectable as a race, and when they run in flocks hither and thither in so-called jollity, it is understood to be a bad sign for human society. Text 12. Rudanto rasabhatrasta nidad udapatan khagaha घोषे रण्ये च पशवः sakrin mutram akurvata. Frightened by the braying of the asses, birds flew shrieking from their nests, while cattle in the cowsheds as well as in the woods passed dung and urine. Frightened by the braying of the asses, birds flew shrieking from their nests, while cattle in the cowsheds as well as in the woods passed dung and urine. Why? By hearing the braying of asses. Birds are also shrieking in fear, and cows in the pastures as well as in the goshalas, they are also passing stool and urine out of fear, hearing the braying of asses. Text 13. Gavo trasan asrig dohas toyada puya varshinaha vyarudan devalingani drumah petur vinanilam. Cows, terrified, yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds rained pus, and images of the gods in the temples shed tears, and trees fell down without a blast of wind. So these are extreme omens. Cows are yielding milk in place of blood. What else? The deities in the temples, the gods in the temples, the deities were weeping. You could see tears from the eyes of the deities. And clouds are not raining water, but they're raining pus. And trees are falling down without any wind. Text 14. Grahan punyataman anye bhaganamschapi deepitaha aticherur vakragatya yuyudhuscha parasparam. Ominous planets such as Mars and Saturn shone brighter and surpassed the auspicious ones such as Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, as well as a number of lunar mansions. Taking seemingly retrograde courses, the planets came in conflict with one another. So in planets also you have auspicious planets and inauspicious planets. So Mars and Saturn are inauspicious. Ominous planets like Mars and Saturn shone brighter, and auspicious planets like Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, they were not as bright. Taking seemingly retrograde courses, the planets came in conflict with one another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The entire universe is moving under the three modes of material nature. Those living entities who are in goodness are called the pious species. Those who are in the mode of goodness are called pious species. Whether it is land, pious lands, pious trees, pious people, like that. So those who are in the mode of goodness are called the pious species. It is similar with the planets also. Many planets are considered pious and the others are considered impious. Saturn and Mars are considered impious. When the pious planets shine very brightly, it is an auspicious sign. But when the inauspicious planets shine very brightly, this is not a very good sign. Text 15. दृष्ट्वान्यांश्च महोत्पातान् अतत्तत्त्वविदः प्रजाः ब्रह्मपुत्रान् ऋते भीता मेनिरे विश्वसम्प्लवम्. Marking these and many other omens of evil times. So these were some of the omens. There were many omens like this. Marking these and many other omens of evil times. So these omens are indicating evil times. Everyone but the four sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall down of Jaya and Vijaya and of their birth as Diti's sons, was seized with fear. So everyone, because everybody knows that these omens indicate some great danger. So everybody was seized with fear, seeing these extreme omens, except for the Kumaras. Why? Because they were aware of the fall of Jaya and Vijay, and also they were aware of their birth as the sons of Diti. They did not know the secrets. So these people who were, everyone else, did not know the secrets of these portents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. Purport. According to Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, the laws of nature are so stringent that it is impossible for the living entity to surpass their enforcement. It is also explained that only those who are fully surrendered to Krishna and Krishna consciousness can be saved. We can learn from the description of the Srimad Bhagavatam that it is because of the birth of two great demons that there were so many natural disturbances. It is to be indirectly understood, as previously described, that when there are constant disturbances on the earth, that is an omen that some demoniac people have been born or that the demoniac population has increased. In former days, there were only two demons, those born of Diti, yet there were so many disturbances. At the present day, especially in the age of Kali, these disturbances are visible, which indicates that the demoniac the Vedic civilization enacted so many rules and regulations of social life, the most important of which is the Garbhadhana process for begetting good children. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjun informed Krishna that if there is unwanted population, Varna Sankara, the entire world will appear to be hell. People are very anxious for peace in the world, but there are so many unwanted children born without the benefit of the Garbhadan ceremony, just like the demons born from Diti. Diti was so lusty that she forced her husband to copulate at a time which was inauspicious, and therefore the demons were born to create disturbances. In having sex life to beget children, one should observe the process for begetting nice children. If each and every householder is in every family observes the Vedic system, then there are nice children, not demons, and automatically there is peace in the world. If we do not follow regulations in life for social tranquility, we cannot expect peace. Rather, we will have to undergo the stringent reactions of natural laws. Text 16. Tavadi daityau sahasa vyajyamanatma paurushau vavridhate shma sarena kayenadri pati iva. So, what was the previous verse? The previous verse said that everybody was seized with fear except for the Kumaras. Why they were fearful? Because they didn't know the secrets. Why uh, this is happening? They didn't know about Jai Vijay. So this present verse is Tavadi Daityau Sahasa Vyajyamanatma Paurusho Vavridhate Shmasarena Kayena Dripati Iva. These two demons who appeared in ancient times soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had steel like frames which began to grow just like two great mountains. Purport. There are two classes of men in the world. One is called the demon, and the other is called the demigod. The demigods concern themselves with the spiritual upliftment of human society, whereas the demons are concerned with physical and material upliftment. The two demons born of Diti began to make their bodies as strong as iron frames, and they were so tall that they seemed to touch outer space. They were decorated with valuable ornaments, and they thought that this was success in life. Originally, it was planned that Jay and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, were to take birth in this material world, where, by the curse of the sages, they were to play the part of always being angry with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A demoniac person, as demoniac persons, they became so angry that they were not concerned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but simply with physical comforts and physical upliftment. Yes. So, uh, some important points in the purport. So, there are two classes of men, that there is demigods and demons. Okay. Demigods concern themselves with spiritual upliftment. So, here what we should understand is when Brahmaji was creating, Brahmaji created various species. The demigods are born, or the demigods are created from the mode of goodness. In other words, those living entities who have a karma which is mostly in the mode of goodness, they will be given the bodies of demigods. Whereas those living entities whose karma is mostly in passion, they will be given the bodies of demons. And those living entities whose karma is in ignorance, they will be given the bodies of yakshas and rakshasas. And this we saw earlier in Brahmaji's creation. So demigods means their bodies. Bodies means both subtle and gross bodies. Gross body is what we see, and then there is subtle body. Everything is in the mode of goodness. That means their mind, intelligence, everything is in the mode of goodness. Primarily, what are the characteristics of the mode of goodness? Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. One who is in the mode of goodness, he is characterized by knowledge and happiness. Happiness comes from knowledge. What is that knowledge? That I am not this body, I am spirit soul. That is the knowledge. I'm not this material body, I'm spirit soul. So therefore, the demigods who are in the mode of goodness are always concerned with, or they concern themselves with, spiritual upliftment of human society. They concern themselves with the spiritual upliftment of human society. Human society, we are particularly talking of, because the demigods they are the administrators of this universe. So in human society, so there are various planets. Of course, there's higher planets, then we have the earthly planet, and then there are the lower planets. The demons and asuras, they live in the planets of the asuras, the lower planets. Whereas the demigods are living in the higher planets. And in the middle, we have the earthly planets where the humans, karma is done in the human society. Karma is, even in the earthly planets, the animals don't have demigods. They are concerned with upliftment of human society. How about not concerned with spiritual upliftment, rather material upliftment. So you can understand one who has the nature of a demigod and one who has the nature of a demon. If one has the nature of a demigod, he will be concerned with spiritual upliftment. Whereas one who has a demoniac nature, he will be concerned with material upliftment. That's the point. So in the case of the two demons born of Diti, what were they concerned with? Because they were demons, they were concerned with material upliftment. So they were concerned with making their bodies very strong as iron frames. They were so tall that they touched the outer space. And another thing, those who are demons, they are very much interested in gold. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. Hiranya means gold. They are very much fascinated by gold. Also, Parikshit Maharaj gave that place to Kali, where after giving the places where the four illicit activities are happening, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Apart from this, when Kali asked for more, saying that in your kingdom nobody does these things, where will I live? Then Parikshit Maharaj said, wherever there is accumulation of gold, you can stay there. So that is also there. So they were decorated with, so these demons, so demons are attracted to gold. They like to wear a lot of gold. So Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were decorated with valuable ornaments, and they thought that this was success in life, having lot of gold. This is success of life. Originally, it was planned that Jai and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, were to take birth in this material world, where by the curse of the sages, they were to play the part. So important point is they were to play the part. It's not that they actually became asuras. It's like somebody playing the role of a character on stage. They're just, for the time being, playing that particular role. It doesn't mean that they have become that person. So Jay and Vijay were playing the part of demons. So, and while playing that part, they are expected to be angry with the Supreme Lord. When you play the role of a demon, demons are angry. They are the opponents of the Supreme Lord. So Jay and Vijay, uh, on the, what do you say, on the plea of this curse. And this curse was also, everything was arranged by the Lord. Very interesting points will come up in this. But yeah. But the thing is, they were playing the part of demons. And as demons, they were expected to be angry with the Supreme Lord. And because now they had entered the bodies of demons as demoniac persons, they were angry, of course, but they were not concerned with the Supreme Lord. Rather, they were simply concerned with physical comforts and physical upliftment. Basically, the same point that was said in the beginning about demigods and demons. Demigods are concerned with spiritual upliftment. Demons are concerned with material upliftment. So Jai Vijay, who appeared as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, were concerned with material upliftment, material comforts, physical upliftment. They were not concerned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They became so angry that they had no interest in spiritual upliftment. And then one more verse today, and I can maybe, or we can just read this chapter, text 17. दिविस्पर्शौ हेमकिरीटकोटिभिर् नहीं दिविस्पृशौ हेमकिरीटकोटिभिर् दिविस्पृशौ हेमकिरीटकोटिभिर्निरुद्धकाष्ठौ स्फुरदङ्गदाभुजौ निरुद्धकाष्ठौ स्फुरदङ्गदाभुजौ गां कम्पयन्तौ चरणै पदे पदे गां कम्पयन्तौ चरणै पदे पदे कट्यासु कञ्च्यार्कमतीत्य तस्थतुः कट्यासु काञ्च्यार्कम् अतीत्य तस्थतुः. Their bodies became so tall that they seemed to kiss the sky with the crests of their gold crowns. They blocked the view of all directions, and while walking, shook the earth at every step. Their arms were adorned with brilliant bracelets, and they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, which were bound with excellent and beautiful girdles. So, further description of the bodies of Hiranyakashipu, which were Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Their bodies became so tall that they seemed to kiss the sky with the crests of their gold crowns. They blocked the view of all directions. And while walking, it's like when you have tall skyscrapers next to your building, you don't see anything. You don't see the sky. You don't see any directions. What is there in which direction? Nothing you can see because there's only these tall, tall buildings around your house. It is something like that. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were so tall that they just blocked the vision of all other directions. They blocked the view of all directions, and while walking, and not only that, while walking, they shook at every step. They shook the earth at every step. They were so heavy, when they would walk, they were shaking the earth with every step. Their arms were adorned with brilliant bracelets, again, gold. And they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, because they were so tall. With their waists, they were covering the sun, which were bound with excellent and beautiful girdles. So what do we see? So much gold, and also so much interested in building material body. Like nowadays, people are interested in bodybuilding, right? Same thing, material upliftment, physical upliftment, or bodybuilding. Purport. In the demoniac way of civilization, people are interested in getting a body constructed in such a way that when they walk on the street, the earth will tremble, and when they stand, it will appear that they cover the sun and the vision of the four directions. If a race appears strong in body, their country is materially considered to be among the highly advanced nations of the world. Yes. So, if the entire population, the whole race of a country, all the people, you see that they are tall and well built. What does that mean? That means the country is materially highly advanced nation, because when is your body tall and strong and heavy? That is when you are interested in material upliftment. So if you see all the people in a particular kingdom or country are like that, means that country is interested in material advancement, and it is materially advanced. Text 18. प्रजापतिर्नाम तयोरकार्षीद् यः प्राक् स्वदेहाद्यमयोरजायत तं वै हिरण्यकशिपुं विदुः प्रजा यं तं हिरण्याक्षमसूतसाग्रतः. Kashyapa Prajapati, the creator of the living entities, gave his twin sons their names. The one who was born first, he named Hiranyaksha, and the one who was first conceived by Diti, he named Hiranyakashipu. This is interesting. See, they were twins, but even though they were twins, but it's not one semen. There is two times. The semen was released twice, or you can say in two installments. The first one released by Kashyapa came last from Diti. So first he, impregnated Diti with one semen, and that was in the back. And the second time he released, that is in the front. So when Diti gave birth, who came out first? The one that was planted last by Kashyapa came out first from Diti. So in terms of conception, if you see who is older, Hiranyakashipu is older because he was sent first. into Diti's womb. And in terms of birth, if you see who came out first into this world, Hiranyaksha came out first. So in terms of birth, Hiranyaksha is older, and then the one that was impregnated first, that came out last. So that became the younger son. So older son in terms of birth, older is Hiranyaksha, younger is Hiranyakashipu. In terms of conception, Hiranyakashipu is older and Hiranyaksha is younger. So which should we consider? We should consider in terms of conception. So Hiranyakashipu is the older one, Hiranyaksha is the younger one. So Kashyap Muni named them, and he called Hiranyaksha, the one who took birth first from Diti, he called Hiranyaksha, and the one that took birth later, he called Hiranyakashipu. Purport. There is an authoritative Vedic literature called Pinda Siddhi, in which the scientific understanding of pregnancy is very nicely described. It is stated that when the male secretion enters the menstrual flux in the uterus in two successive drops, the mother develops two embryos in her womb. Of course, this is not done in an intentional way or anything. This is all related to karma, that when it is released by the man, it goes in two drops, resulting in two embryos, and there are twins formed. So this is the science is explained in this Vedic literature called Pinda Siddhi. So the mother develops two embryos in her womb, and she brings forth twins in a reverse order to that in which they were first conceived. So that was explained in the beginning. The child conceived first is born later, and the one conceived later is brought forth first. The first child conceived in the womb lives behind the second child. So when birth takes place, the second child appears first, and the first child appears second. In this case, it is understood that Hiranyaksha, the second child conceived, was delivered first, whereas Hiranyakashipu, the first child who was behind him, having been conceived first, was born second. Text 19. Actually, maybe I will stop here, or I can just read this chapter. Text 19. चक्रे हिरण्यकशिपुर्दोर्भ्यां ब्रह्मवरेण च वशे स पालाल्लोकां स्त्रीन् akuto mrityuruddhatah. The elder child Hiranyakashipu was unafraid of death from anyone within the three worlds, because he received, so here see the elder child, because the calculation is going to be in terms of conception. So the elder is Hiranyakashipu only, even though he took birth later. The elder child Hiranyakashipu was unafraid of death from anyone within the three worlds, because he received a benediction from Lord Brahma. He was proud and puffed up due to this benediction, and was able to bring all three planetary systems under his control. Purport. So Hiranyakashipu got one boon from Brahmaji, that he wouldn't be killed by any weapon or any created being. So he became puffed up, that now he is deathless. So being so puffed up, he went and attacked all the planets, and he was able to bring all three planetary systems under his control. Purport. As will be revealed in later chapters, so this will come in the 7th chapter, Hiranyakashipu underwent severe austerity and penance to satisfy Brahma, and thus receive a benediction of immortality. Actually, it is impossible even for Lord Brahma to give anyone the benediction of becoming immortal. But indirectly, Hiranyakashipu received the benediction that no one within this material world would be able to kill him. In other words, because he originally came from the abode of Vaikuntha, he was not to be killed by anyone within this material world. So, yeah. See, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha don't have, what do you say? Anyway, I'll just keep reading. In other words, because he originally came from the abode of Vaikuntha, he was not to be killed by anyone within this material world. The Lord desired to appear himself to kill him. Yes, because they are the eternal associates of the spiritual world. No material person can kill them. So the Lord desired to appear himself to kill him. One may be very proud of his material advancement in knowledge, but he cannot be immune to the four principles of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. It was the Lord's plan to teach people that even Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful and strongly built, could not live more than his destined duration of life. One may become as strong and puffed up as Hiranyakashipu and bring under his control all the three worlds, but there is no possibility of continuing life eternally or keeping the conquered booty forever. So many emperors have ascended to power and they are now lost in oblivion. That is the history of the world. So, in the Lord's pastimes, many purposes are achieved. So, in the appearance of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, of course, we know this was arranged by the Lord because of their own desire to give the Lord this Virya Rasa, where he wants to, they wanted the Lord to enjoy all different types of rasas, but they felt that the Lord is not able to enjoy Virya Rasa for want of an equal opponent. Who can fight with the Lord? Only someone who is as powerful as the Lord would be able to put up a good fight. And in the spiritual world, everyone is a devotee who would fight with the Lord. Nobody would fight. He would have to come to the material world to fight with the demons, but these demons are nothing, right? They wouldn't be able to stand in front of him even for a moment. So he wouldn't be able to really get that, enjoy the taste of that Virya Rasa fighting. So then they wanted to give that taste to the Lord. So for that, they requested the Lord that they wanted to become, they wanted to fulfill this desire, or they wanted to make the Lord uh, enjoy all types of rasas. Why should he be lacking in enjoying this rasa? He should enjoy this rasa also. And they wanted to, um, and for that, they were willing to become demons and, come and fight with him so that he can get that pleasure. That was their desire. So, although the Lord uh, didn't want his devotees to become demons, but they were making a, what do you say? They were insisting, no, 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 we want to become, we want to become means we want to give you that pleasure of Virya Rasa. So, the Lord's quality is Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means uh, he cannot say, he's very, very affectionate to his devotees. And when they were insisting and, asking for this, then uh, he actually submitted to their desire and he said, okay, all right, so you can go. So that's the reason how Jai Vijay happened to come down as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So also it's not that they're conditioned souls the way a living entity is covered by ignorance and then he gets, because of karma, he gets the material gross and subtle material bodies. It's not like that. The whole thing was arranged by the Lord's Leela Shakti. Leela Shakti is one of the functions of Yoga Maya. So, for increasing, for making a particular pastime very rich, she makes all arrangements. So she created these bodies of demons for Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And Jai Vijay, in their original bodies made of Swarupa Shakti, they reduced in size using siddhis, Anima Siddhi, Laghima Siddhi, like that, making themselves smaller than the smallest. Their original bodies, which are actually big bodies, they made them very small by siddhi, and with their original bodies only, now made very small by the siddhi, they entered into these demonic bodies created by Leela Shakti for them. It's not that they were covered by ignorance and then, Lord Brahma gave them these bodies. It's not like that in their case. And also, only one prakasha, of Jai Vijay came down like this. It's not like now they are not in Vaikunta. Jai Vijay were there in Vaikunta, and also one Prakasha came down to play this role of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So this is how they came. However, when the Lord killed, he's also teaching some lessons. What is the lesson here? However great a person may be, Hiranyakashipu practically conquered the whole universe except for Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. Everyone else had become his servant. But even if one is in such a high position, after all, if you are in this material world, everyone has to succumb to death. Abrahma bhuvanalloka punaravartino arjuna. Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Even up to the planet of Lord Brahma, if you go up to the planet of Brahma, still you have to take birth again. That means you have to succumb to death and you have to take birth again. Or the only way when one does not have to succumb to death is when one surrenders to the Supreme Lord. Mamupetya tu kaunteya, punarjanmana vidyate. If one worships the Supreme Lord, surrenders to the Supreme Lord, then he's not forced to take birth again in this material world. So, wanting to teach that lesson, the Lord personally came and killed Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, even though they were so powerful, so strongly built, and everybody uh, was terrified by them, still they also had to succumb to death because this is the material world. However powerful a person may be, he is destined to give up that body. So to teach that lesson, and also you see Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha's bodies, they were after all demonic bodies made of course, Leela Shakti design, but still it is a material body, demonic body. So that body has to die. That lesson has to be taught. So the Lord came and killed them. That's the thing. Okay. There is no possibility of continuing life eternally or keeping the conquered booty forever. So Srila Prabhupada is saying so many kings and empires have come, so many. We have examples. Alexander the Great, who was trying to conquer or the whole world, he had to succumb. Not one, there are so many like that. So nobody lives forever. Now they are simply names in history. Text 20. Hiranyaksho nujastasya priyaha priti krid anvaham gadapanirdivam yato yuyutsur mrigayan ranam. His younger brother Hiranyaksha was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. Purport. The demoniac spirit is to train all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification, whereas the godly spirit is to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Another very important point. Just see what is the demoniac tendency and a godly spirit. Demoniac spirit is train all family members in how to exploit the resources of material nature, earn as much as possible. For that, you get all the skills that you need. You work so hard. You build your body, strong muscles, or get so many skills and learn the latest technology, whatever. So you train all your family members in how to exploit the material nature, all the resources of material nature. For what? For sense gratification. And then you build your big empires and you enjoy. This is demoniac spirit. What is godly spirit? Godly spirit is whatever there is, right? Engage it all in the service of the Lord because He is the master of all resources. Engage everything in the service of the Lord. Whatever you have and whatever there is, understand that everything belongs to Him. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. Nahi. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva shantim the rich. So one who knows that he is the only enjoyer, he is the only proprietor, such a person can be peaceful. So, but here we see Hiranyaksha, uh, Hiranyakashipu was himself very powerful, and he made his younger brother Hiranyaksha powerful to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording it over material nature as long as possible. He himself was very powerful, and he made his brother also like that to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording over the material nature as long as possible. If possible, he wanted to rule the universe eternally. That's why he didn't want to die. He wanted to rule eternally. These are demonstrations of the spirit of the demoniac living entity. Text 21. Tam viksha dussaha tam viksha dussahajavam tam viksha dussahajavam ranat kanchana nupuram vaijayantya srajajustam amshanyasta mahagadam. Hiranyaksha's temper was difficult to control. Now, Hiranyaksha, his temper was difficult to control. He was an angry person. He had anklets of gold tinkling about his feet. He was adorned with a gigantic garland, and he rested his huge mace on one of his shoulders. Text 22. Manovirya varodsiktam ashrinyam akuto bhayam bhita nililire devas tarksha trasta ivahayaha. His mental and bodily strength, as well as the boon conferred upon him, had made him proud. So we saw he was angry, and he was so strong, physically tall, well built. And also the boon that was bestowed upon him had made him proud. He feared death at the hands of no one, and there was no checking him. The gods, therefore, were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves even as snakes hide themselves for fear of Garuda. So now Hiranyaksha is the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is the one who got the boon, and Hiranyaksha is protected by his brother and engaged by his brother, empowered by his brother. So everyone is afraid of Hiranyaksha. Purport: the Asuras are generally strongly built, as described here, and therefore their mental condition is very sound, and their prowess is also extraordinary. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, having received the boon that they would not be killed by any other living entity within this universe, were almost immortal, and thus they were completely fearless. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying both of them got the boon. So they were fearless. Text 23. Savaiti rohitan drishtva mahasa svena daityaraat sendran devaganan kshiban apashyan vyanadadbhrisham. On one finding, on not finding Indra and the other demigods, so he's going now to all the planets and challenging people, attacking them and conquering, basically confiscating. They were so afraid, they were running away from him, he would just go and take over. So on not finding Indra, because Indra is hiding, we read in the previous verse, the gods were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves as snakes would hide for fear of Garuda. So as soon as they saw Hiranyaksha coming, they would all leave their thrones, they would hide here and there. So when Hiranyaksha went to Lord Indra's court, he saw Indra is not there. On not finding Indra and the other demigods who had previously been intoxicated with power, the chief of the Daityas, seeing that they had all vanished before his might, roared loudly. Tato nivrittaha क्रीडिष्यन् गम्भीरं भीमनिस्वनं विजगाहे महासत्त्वो वार्धिं मत्त इव द्विपः. After returning from the heavenly kingdom, the mighty demon, who was like an elephant in wrath, for the sake of sport, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly. So he went to the heavenly planets, and everybody Nobody was there. They ran away. So he just took over. So then he just conquered, basically, right? And then he returned from the heavenly kingdom. The mighty demon, who was like an elephant in wrath for the sake of sport, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly. So he wanted to go and fight with people. Nobody was there. So then he saw no one is there to fight with him. So he returned from the heavens and he just dived into the ocean, deep ocean. That was terribly roaring. Why he dived like that? For the sake of sport. तस्मिन् प्रविष्टे वरुणस्य सैनिका यादो गणा सन्नधियः ससाध्वसाः अहन्यमाना अपि तस्य वर्चसा प्रदर्शितादा दूरतरं प्रदुद्रुवुः. On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varuna were stricken with fear and ran far away. On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varuna were stricken with fear and ran far away. Thus, Hiranyaksha showed his splendor without dealing a blow. So, usually, nobody would dare to stand in front of him. He didn't even have to fight with anyone. As soon as he would go, they would just run away. So, when he dived into the ocean, all the aquatic animals, they also ran away out of fear. Purport. Materialistic demons sometimes appear to be very powerful and are seen to establish their supremacy throughout the world. Here also it appears that Hiranyaksha, by his demoniac strength, actually established his supremacy throughout the universe, and the demigods were afraid of his uncommon power. Not only were the demigods in space afraid of the demons Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, but so also were the aquatic animals within the sea. So what are we seeing? There was terror struck everywhere because of these two demons. Savarshapūgan udadhau mahabalash charan mahormin श्वसने रितान्मुहुः मौर्याभिजघ्ने गदया विभावरीम् आसेदिवांस्तातपुरीं प्रचेतसः. Moving about in the ocean for many, many years, the mighty Hiranyaksha smote the gigantic wind-tossed waves again and again with his iron mace and reached Vibhavari, the capital of Varuna. So in the ocean, who is the lord of water? The demigod the controlling deity of water is Varun Dev. Hiranyaksha went into the ocean and he was looking for an opponent to fight, but everybody had run away. And for many years, he stayed in the ocean, just fighting with the waves with his iron mace. And finally, he reached the capital city of Varuna called Vibhavari. Purport. Varuna is supposed to be the predominating deity of the waters, and his capital, which is known as Vibhavari, is within the watery kingdom. Text 27. तत्रोपलभ्यासुरलोकपालकं यादो गणानां ऋषभं प्रचेतसं स्मयन् प्रलब्धुं प्रणिपत्य नीचवज् जगाद मे देह्यधिराज संयुगम्. Vibhavari is the home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures and guardian of the lower regions of the universe. Okay, this is the translation. Vibhavari is the home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures and guardian of the lower regions of the universe, where the demons generally reside. There Hiranyaksha fell at Varuna's feet like a low-born man, and to make fun of him, he said with a smile, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord." So this is in a very sarcastic way, like a practical joke. He's going and falling on the feet of Varuna as if he's taking shelter of the deity, of a superior, and begging for something. What is he begging for? And he's smiling because he's actually making fun of Varuna. He knows nobody can fight with him. So even Varuna wouldn't be able to stand in front of him. He knows that. Yet he's saying, "Oh Lord, please give me a fight. Oh Supreme Lord, give me battle." I'm begging you for battle. But he knows he cannot fight, so he's just smiling at him. So he's saying this to make fun of Varuna. Purport. The demoniac person always challenges others and tries to occupy others' property by force. Here, these symptoms are fully displayed by Hiranyaksha. So, this is also a demoniac mentality, kind of putting down others, showing others that I am better than you, and humiliating the other person for his lacking, for not having, for not being as powerful as himself, humiliating the others, and sometimes even saying it uh, in a sarcastic way. So this is demoniac. This is a demoniac person. The demoniac person always challenges others and tries to occupy others' property by force. He challenges and tries to occupy their position by force. Here, these symptoms are fully displayed by Hiranyaksha, who begged war from a person who had no desire to fight. So he's literally begging to fight, and then they'll take by force. Huh? But the other person had no desire to fight and is begging. That's a demon. Text 28. Tvam lokapalo dhipatir brihatchrava वीर्यापहो दुर्मदवीरमानिनां विजित्य लोकेऽखिलदैत्यदानवान् यद्राजसूयेन पुराय जत्प्रभो. You are the guardian of an entire sphere. So Hiranyaksha is saying to Varun Dev, you are the guardian of an entire sphere and a ruler of wide fame, having crushed the might of arrogant and conceited warriors, and having conquered all the Daityas and Danavas in the world, you once performed a Rajasuya sacrifice to the Lord. He's saying, Hiranyaksha is saying that you are the guardian of an entire sphere. So Varun Dev is the guardian of the lower planets and ruler of wide fame. So you are very famous. Having crushed the might of arrogant and conceited warriors and having conquered all the Daityas and Danavas in the world, you once performed a Rajasuya sacrifice to the Lord. So for somebody to perform Rajasuya Yagya, we know from Mahabharata, the person should not have any opponent. So Bhimsen, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev had gone in the four directions, challenging all the warriors. That means they would have to accept that Yudhishthir Maharaj would become they would accept Yudhishthir Maharaj as their emperor and they would be subordinate to him. If anybody didn't agree, then they would have to fight with one of the Pandavas who was challenging them. And in that fight, if they get defeated, then they would have to. Now they are bound to accept Yudhishthir Maharaj. Having been defeated, now they have to accept him as their emperor. So only such a person can perform Rajasuya Yagya who doesn't have any opponent, who does not accept him as their authority. So Varun Dev also performed Rajasuya Yagya to the Lord. And that means he had defeated or he had conquered, or because he is in charge of the lower planets, so all the Daityas and Danavas were conquered by him. That's why he was able to perform Rajasuya Yagya. Text 29. Sa evamutsiktamadena vidvisha dridham pralabdho bhagavan pampatihi rosham samutham shamayan svayadhiya vyavochadangopashamam gatavayam. Thus mocked. So you see, this whole thing was said out of fun. Hiranyaksha is making fun of Varun Dev. He knows that nobody can kill him except the Lord, of course. So, and he's challenging Varun Dev. He's actually not even challenging, he's begging for a battle. So he was actually mocking Varun Dev. Thus mocked by an enemy whose vanity knew no bounds, the worshipful Lord of the waters waxed angry. But by dint of his reason, he managed to curb the anger that had sprung up in him, and he replied, "O dear one, we have now desisted from warfare, having grown too old for combat." So Varun Dev is also saying, actually, he got very angry. How impudent. Huh? But then he saw that this is not the right time. So he just controlled his anger, and he also answered with the same, what do you say, sarcasm, you can say. He's saying, now I have become so old, so I'm not fit to fight anymore. I have given up fighting, so I'm sorry I cannot give you a battle like that. Oh, dear one, we have now desisted from warfare, having grown too old for combat. Purport. As we see, warmongering materialists always create fighting without reason. Text 30. पश्यामि नान्यं पुरुषात् पुरातनाद् यः संयुगे त्वां रणमार्ग कोविदम् आराधयिष्यत्यसुरर्षभेहि तं मनस्विनोऽयं गृणते भवादृशाः. You are so skilled in war that I do not see anyone else but the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, who can give satisfaction in battle to you. Therefore, O chief of the Asuras, approach him whom even heroes like you mention with praise. So Varundev very cleverly said that I am old, I cannot fight with you, but I know there's one person who can fight with you and satisfy your hunger for battle. That is the oldest person, Lord Vishnu. O chief of the Asuras, right? Uh, you can go to him. And he's so great in fighting that even his opponents, even great heroes in battle, they also praise him. So you will certainly be satisfied if you fight with him. Purport. Aggressive materialistic warriors are actually punished by the Supreme Lord for their policy of unnecessarily disturbing world peace. Therefore, Varuna advised Hiranyaksha that the right course to satisfy his fighting spirit would be to seek to fight with Vishnu. So the other thing is, Varundev, why he sent Hiranyaksha to Lord Vishnu? Because then this Hiranyaksha, who's so puffed up, who's going around challenging everyone and terrorizing the whole universe, when he goes to Lord Vishnu, he will be curbed. His pride will be curbed by the Lord. So he just guided him to the right person. So Srila Prabhupada is saying aggressive materialistic warriors are actually punished by the Supreme Lord for their policy of unnecessarily disturbing world peace. So such people should be sent to the Supreme Lord. Tam Viramaradhabipadya Vismaya Shayishyase Virashayeshvabhirvritaha यस्त्वद्विभानां विधानाम् असतां प्रशान्तये रूपाणि धत्ते सदनुग्रहेच्छया. Varuna continued, on reaching him, you will be rid of your pride at once and will lie down on the field of battle, surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. It is in order to exterminate wicked fellows like you and to show his grace to the virtuous that he assumes his various incarnations like Varaha. So further, Varundev is saying, on reaching him, you will be rid of your pride. So now he's directly saying that you're so proud of your might, you think nobody can fight with you, you go to him. When you reach him, he will cut your pride. He will destroy your pride at once. And he will he will he will make you lay down on the ground. That means he will kill you. He will and will lie down on the field of battle. He will you will be rid of your pride and will lie down on the field of battle surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. So dogs will go to eat dead bodies. So you'll be killed and your dead body will be eaten by dogs. It is in order to exterminate wicked fellows like you and to show his grace to the virtuous. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So to kill the wicked and to protect the pious. Virtuous. That he assumes his various incarnations like Varaha. So here Varahadev is also mentioned. Hiranyaksha will be killed by Varahadev. Purport. Asuras do not know that their bodies consist of the 5 elements of material nature and that when they fall, they become objects of pastimes for dogs and vultures. Varuna advised Hiranyaksha to meet Vishnu in his boar incarnation so that his hankering for aggressive war would be satisfied and his powerful body would be vanquished. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe. One more point why Lord Varahadev is only said, because Varahadev is in the form of Sukara, right? So where will you find Sukara? Sukara means pig. where will you find them, right? So there, wherever now Hiranyaksha is in the waters, so Varahadev will appear there, and then they will fight. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.